Right now I'm on my way to the lake and I'm hoping I catch a huge fish today. It'll be a first for me, so I'm excited and can't wait to get out there.
I'm hoping to catch my first fish after multiple tries before.
This is my first time doing this. I've never catch a fish before. It's gonna be an awesome experience for me.
This is going to be my first experience catching a freshwater fish. So I'm very, very, very excited about this.
I hope to get one that is about probably a meter stick long and probably 80 pounds.
Yeah, I love this point at camp. Guys have been here for a couple of days. The walls are coming down. They're starting to come together. They're enjoying the fresh air and the lack of electronics. It's just fun to watch the change in these guys, even when they're just sitting around having a meal, just talking together. I like what I see happening.
Do that? Yes. Yeah.
What's so cool for me is to have a worship leader here, somebody that really can kind of take you into the presence of the Lord through music and song. What's even more special is to have my beloved son, my eldest biological son, Christopher, here just to lead us in worship. Whenever I work with men, I want them thinking about the concept of legacy. Every man will receive an inheritance and will leave a legacy. If I can get a guy thinking about legacy, I can generally pull him out of the here and now, and a lot of times out of the me, and I can get him thinking about that next generation. I want to share with you an important concept. Everyone here has received an inheritance. You have inherited certain things from the generations prior to you. Some things you inherited, they didn't hand to you. They didn't write it in a will. It simply came to you genetically. Now, some whose parents have passed, perhaps you were left a piece of land or something like that. But that's very specific. In general, everyone received some basic stuff from the generations before them. Everyone in the room will leave a legacy that becomes the inheritance for your next generation. So every father here will leave a legacy to the sons that are with you. And what you've got to think about, men, is what will you leave of your choice to the next generation? So there's this process and a generational transfer that takes place. I want to read you some very interesting things here. Over in Deuteronomy 31, Moses went out and spoke these words to all Israel. I am now 120 years old. I'm no longer able to lead you. Man, I hope when I'm 120 I can go, yeah, I'm getting a little shaky. Come on now. The Lord has said to me, you shall not cross the Jordan. The Lord your God himself will cross over ahead of you. And I'll jump down a little bit. The Lord will deliver them to you, and you must do to them all that I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So this is the charge that the Creator of heaven and earth gives to Moses. But he's just explained, I'm checking out. I don't have the gas to keep going here. So why is God giving him a charge? Why is he saying this is important? Then Moses summoned Joshua, the next generation of leaders, and said to him in the presence of all the people, all of Israel, be strong and courageous. Where would he get that concept? Where would Moses get that concept? Because God gave it to him. So this transfer, all right, this transfer came straight from the throne. How cool is that? For you must go with this people into the land that the Lord swore to their forefathers to give them. You must divide it among them as their inheritance. And the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. How interesting is that? How interesting is that? God calls Moses to do something. He reaches the point where he can't continue. He selects a successor and gives him the exact same call. And says, you take it from here. It's like that baton, handing off the baton. Okay, I'm done. My part of the race is over. You've got to take it and run with it. And young guys, you need to understand that the day will come that Dad's going to hand off to you. Now that's a long way off, so don't anybody get thinking too much on that part of it. But just understand that you have a calling just the same as your father does. And the day will come that you will pick up the race. You'll pick up the race. And what does God say to you at that time? He says, be strong and courageous. You're going to do everything that's been laid out for you to do. But you might want to stay focused, because this is important stuff and it comes pretty fast. So what we see here, guys, is this one generation hands off to the next generation, and they are prepared to lead. Isn't that interesting? Joshua spent a lot of time with Moses, and he was prepared to lead. What will happen as your sons spend time with you, whether they be spiritual or biological? Will you prepare them to lead? Okay? It won't matter a hoot and a holler if these young guys get the high score on Call of Duty. It won't matter. It won't matter. It will make no difference. Frankly, if they catch the biggest fish, it won't matter. What will matter is that they can pick up the mantle of leadership that men carry, and they can move on. What matters is that they will leave the things of children, and they will accept the things of men, and they will walk in the ways of men. And we have way too many men around the world right now that are living in this fairyland, Peter Pan, Never Never Land. I don't want to grow up. I just want to be a kid, right? I know guys that have geared up an entire room in their house with huge monitors, a comfy chair, so they can play games all night. These are grown men with children. Come on now. Grown men with children, gearing up their whole lives that they could play as a child instead of walking in the ways of men. I have zero respect, I'm sorry. The charge of a man is to prepare the next generation. This does not mean you can't have fun. We all have fun. You want to play a game, play a game. But don't build your life around the stupid thing. Build your life around preparing the next generation to lead. But what if we don't? Come on, Brian. I know I get excited about this thing. Oh, big deal. You know, I get a little too shook up. Okay, but probably no big deal if we don't prepare the next generation. We're going over to Judges. After Joshua had dismissed the Israelites, Joshua spoke to the people. They went to take possession of the land, each to his own inheritance. Are you seeing the connection, man? Moses got the call from God. He handed off to Joshua. He said, help them. Help these guys to get the inheritance that God has promised them. And what just happened? Looks to me like they got it. How did Joshua do? He do good? All right. So he did good. The people served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua, and the elders who outlived him and who had seen the great things the Lord had done for Israel. Isn't that nice? Now Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. And they buried him in the land of his inheritance at Timnah-Heres, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. Now here's where it gets very interesting, man. After that whole generation had been gathered to their fathers, another generation grew up, who knew neither the Lord nor what he had done for Israel. Then the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Now you can read all that. I hope you all are Bible readers because you want to understand what happened. Let me just break it down for you. Let me give you the 5 o'clock news. God calls Moses to lead a whole bunch of people out of bondage into the promised land. Moses does his best. At the point in time that comes where he can't continue, he picks a successor. God picks him. Moses mentors him. By the way, whose son was Joshua? Was he Moses' biological son? He was not. He was not. And so sometimes it's when God calls us to someone that is not of our own flesh and blood, but he is a spiritual son. He's a spiritual son, and somebody then loves on you enough and pours into you, and you're the one that picks up and moves on. So Joshua accepted the call. He moved on. He prepared a whole bunch of people, and they were successful, and they received their inheritance. What a beautiful story. Now, if this was Hollywood, we'd just bring the lights down, bring the music up, and man, we'd walk away feeling warm and fuzzy and get the popcorn off our face. But it is not Hollywood. It's real life. And what happened was, after Joshua passed, and there were elders that outlived Joshua, after they passed, there was a generation that grew up that did not know the Lord or what he had done for their people. They didn't know. So the transfer from Moses to Joshua to this next generation, there was a breaking that took place, and the people did evil in the sight of God. And their lives, if you read the whole story, spiraled down into a mess and a half. So what happened? The transfer of the legacy that became the inheritance, that became the legacy, that became the inheritance, there was a break there. The people didn't put enough good stuff in, and they didn't take the bad stuff out, and ultimately it came down to a generation that didn't know God, that saw a greater reality in some of the junk on television and some of the stupid stuff that their peers are trying to tell them. They didn't understand the reality. They believed the lies that there is no God, or God's just in trees and flowers and birdies and he could care less about you, that God doesn't respond to prayer. Nonsense, garbage, junk. But we got a generation that needs to understand this, that God is real. And understand what the Word of God here just said is that they did not know, they had not seen or experienced what God had done. So fathers, I say to you this, if God's not real in your life, what on earth can you transfer to the next generation? If you don't have a living faith, what can you give? Guys, there's nothing more important. Oh, I need that promotion, a little bit more money. If I can just get the beach house. No. Just hand off to the next generation the reality of the Most High God and what He can do in our lives. Because I'm telling you right now, this world is not going to get better. It's going to get a little darker. But where darkness is, one pinpoint of light chases away the darkness. This is our job, men. This is our job. I was so excited today, man. We had guys at man camp that had never been fishing, and obviously then they had never caught a fish. And our goal was to make sure that every guy, young and old, that wanted to, would catch his first fish. It was pretty exciting. It was a little wild and crazy. You had to watch it, but by the end of the day, we'd achieved our goal.
Right now I'm on my way to the lake and I'm hoping I catch a huge fish today. It'll be a first for me, so I'm excited and can't wait to get out there.
I'm hoping to catch my first fish after multiple tries before.
This is my first time doing this. I've never catch a fish before. It's gonna be an awesome experience for me.
This is going to be my first experience catching a freshwater fish. So I'm very excited about this.
I hope to get one that is about probably a meter stick long and probably 80 pounds. I didn't catch a big whopper, though. At least I got my first fish. That's a start. So I'll try to work my way up and get the hugest whopper in all of America.
Man, I'm trying, but I haven't caught my first fish yet. I mean, the young guy, Taylor, he's even caught one. I haven't caught one yet, so I'm trying, but I feel like it's gonna happen within the next 15 minutes. That's what I'm praying for, that's what I'm hoping for. But come on, I gotta catch a fish.
You know, sometimes the best way to help guys understand a fairly complicated concept is to show a simple demonstration. There's not one man on the face of the earth that has sons or daughters, or spiritual sons and daughters, that doesn't want to leave a great legacy. We just have to understand how that works. And a demonstration, yeah, it's worth 1,000 words. After that little thing we did yesterday, I'm surprised anybody would volunteer. Come right over here. You wait right there. Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you for volunteering. No, you already had you. Come here, sir. Right there. Yeah, right there. Let's see. A volunteer here. Volunteer. You're too young. You're next. You're my next guy. Come here, Mr. Kim. Right here. Let's see, who else have I got here? Come here. All right, come here, brother. Good, you're right there. You're right there. Okay, what we've got here are generations. These are generations, okay? As you can see, they get progressively better looking, all right, through the generation. You see that. Well, I didn't tell you which end I was starting at. Okay? I'm just saying there's a progression here, all right? All right, take one and pass them down. I'll explain this in a minute here, guys. I will explain it in a minute. Now, this is going to represent just our lives, okay? So this is a man's life. And it's well represented just by a box, because stuff goes in and stuff comes out, right? So this handsome gentleman right here, you're going to start with it, so you can just take the box, all right? So this is our great-grandfather here. He's way too young for that, but this is who he is. Now this gentleman is born. He's going to live his life. At some point, he falls in love with this beautiful young lady. They get married. They produce a handsome son. He continues to live out his life. And when his life is over, he's going to hand his life off. Now, during the course of that life, he may have taken some things out. So if you want to take something out of that you were handed to, yeah, that's good. You take it out. But he also puts stuff into his life, into his box, okay? Anything you want to put in? All right, great. And unfortunately, you have passed on, but your memory is secure with us. This is his handsome son right here. This is his handsome son. Now, is it his natural son, his spiritual son? Doesn't matter. It's the next in line for this man. Now, he's born. He lives his life. He meets a beautiful young lady. They get married. They produce another handsome child. Could be a son or a daughter. Doesn't matter, right? And as he's living his life, maybe there's some things he wants to take out that he was handed. Anything you want to take out in there? You can. Or you can't have that one. That's too big. Boy, where's the guild when you need them? You know what I'm saying? Anything you want to put in that box? There you go. I know. And unfortunately, he passes. And he hands his life to the next generation. You understand the story now, right? Anything you want to take out of that box, sir? Okay? Anything you want to put in? Something good, something bad? What are we dealing with here? Okay. Well, I don't know if that was good or bad, but it happens. You understand? It comes to this next handsome son. He's going to take something out. You want to put anything in the box? You throw something in the box. He puts a whole lot of stuff in there. Good, bad, I don't know. It finally comes down here to this handsome young guy right here, and right now, because he's real young, he's just starting with the box. He doesn't have the capacity to take anything out yet, and he's just starting to put some things in. So let's see, can you see down there your great-grandpa and grandpa and all that stuff? See all the generations? Let's see what they left you. What are you starting with? See, here's his life. This is what he's starting with. Let's see, man, because what do you got? Say it nice and loud.
My inheritance, confusion, poverty, fear, and anxiety.
Good.
Bad character, isolation, negative role models, condemnation, broken family, spiritual ignorance.
Ooh. Give me that. Give me that. Yeah, you can hold on to those. Wow, what happened? What happened? We had generations. Now, these are good men. These are good men, but they're men. There's good things in us and there's not so good things in us. So look what the young man ended up with. And right now, today in our world, we look around and we see, what is wrong with these young people? What's wrong with these young people? We'll look at a 15-year-old that's acting stupid and go, what's wrong with him? You can't just look at him. Something happened. There was a legacy, an inheritance, a legacy, an inheritance. You see where we ended up? Let's do that again. Everybody get it? We'll put some things in, take some things out, put some things in, take some things out, put some things in, take some things out, put some things in, take some things out. And all of a sudden, 5 generations have just gone by. Now I wonder what happened. Reach in there and grab your new inheritance. Say it nice and loud. Just look right out here.
My inheritance, clear vision, courage, confidence, good character, friendships, positive role models, freedom, family traditions, and faith.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, give these guys a hand. Go on back. Thanks, buddy. All right, you guys can go back now. Thank you. Hey, after you're dead, dude, you can't put nothing else in. I'm sorry. So what did we end up with? Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? It's our life. In your life, you only have so many years. Moses had so many years, and he put stuff in his box. And he took some things out of his box, and ultimately, when he breathed his last, all he could do was hand it to Joshua. And Joshua lived his life, and he did well. He prepared a whole generation, man, to receive their inheritance. And when he breathed his last, he handed it off to some elders and they ran with it. But when that generation passed, something happened. Something happened in the next handoff. And the people did evil. They did evil in the sight of the Lord. And if you read the next few generations of what happened in that marvelous people group, they did not do well. They did not do well. What would it have taken? Oh, it was God's will. Nope, it was not. It's what happened, and we can read about it, but you cannot possibly project God intended for people to suffer somehow for His glory. No, thank you. When the people followed God, they prospered. They prospered. When your sons follow God, they will prosper. And I'm not talking about kind of the modern day, the big car and the fancy schmancy. If it happens, cool. But a man prospers on the inside. A man prospers from the heart out, not from the outside junk in. So guys, I'm going to leave you with this thought. You are the last generation before you hand the box to your son. You are the only one that can pull something out or put something in. And in every man's life, there are things that we would just as soon weren't there. I'm not asking anybody for any confessions right now. I'm simply telling you how men operate. It's how we are wired. Men are men. But the scripture said, Peter, sin has crouched at your door, and it seeks to overtake you, but you can master it. There's nothing that's afflicted us, men, that we have to live with. There's nothing that's come against us that we can't go, I'm sick of this. I don't need any more of that. This stuff on the computer can't have me anymore. This fear can't have me anymore. My selfishness and my pride, it can't have me anymore. This stuff's going. And I'm going to start putting in here things like good character. I'm going to love my son. I will correct and discipline, but my son will know that he is loved above all. And when I correct, I will do so with a tear in my eye. And I will take time with him. And if I never see another ball game, I don't care, but I will take time with my son. And if I go to play a sport, he will go with me. And if I catch a big fish, he will be at my side. And if I get a big one on, I'll hand him the rod so he can experience the good things of life. Guys, you are the last one with the box before you hand it to your sons and your daughters and your spiritual sons. My question to you today that I want you to think about all day long is what's in your box that you need to take out and what's not in there yet that you need to put in.
Feels like rivers have flooded from my eyes as I'm changed into a better man. I look up to the stars and know it's time to head back in.